The world of IndyCar has had a lot, and I mean a lot of one-hit wonders, as discussed in a previous video on this channel. Well, after the tremendous support on that video, and the boatload of suggestions y'all gave me in the comments section, I figured I couldn't just leave it at that. So without further ado, these are 5 more of the IndyCar one-hit wonders. First up is arguably the strangest one-hit wonder I've covered so far, Richie Hearn. Hearn was a driver for Tagliani Motorsports, and competed in the first 5 Indy Racing League events between the 1996 season and the first 2 rounds of the 1996-97 season. Hearn and the team switched their attention to racing and karts starting in 97, but before they left the IRL, they scored a victory. The win came in the 1996 Las Vegas 500K, the first ever race at the newly constructed Las Vegas Motor Speedway, with Hearn winning by 1.6 seconds over Michel Jourdain Jr. Hearn led 90 laps on the day and scored his lone IndyCar win in pretty convincing fashion. Now, I would like to show you footage of the finish, but as I'm about to explain, I can't. Thanks to a dusty racetrack and high winds, the race was chaotic. 41.5% of the race was run under caution, with over half the field retiring from the race. The race ran so long, in fact, that with 68 laps to go, ABC cut away from the race on all but the West Coast to go to local news. Unfortunately for the general public, the West Coast complete version of this race's broadcast is unavailable. For a while, it was believed that the West Coast version was lost, but in late 2019, a post made to the IndyCar subreddit allegedly from someone from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Museum said that the Speedway had obtained a copy of the race. Unfortunately, in the roughly 4 years since this news came out, the Speedway has not released this footage, and there's no telling if they ever will. What we do know is that somewhere, the footage is in existence. It's just that you or I can't see it yet. As of this video's release in early September of 2023, coming up on 27 years after this race, there's only 2 broadcasts available. The aforementioned East Coast version, which cuts away before the 2/3 mark, and the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Radio Network broadcast, which catches the race in its entirety. Hopefully in the not-too-distant future, we'll get a better view of this race, and of Richie Hearn's lone win in IndyCar. Moving on from a driver who won a race that most haven't seen the conclusion to a driver winning a race that I covered on this channel nearly 2 years ago, we have Carlos Munoz. The Colombian driver always seemed to be the bridesmaid, never the bride. There were plenty of races that he could have and should have won, which makes it even more odd when you hear about how the race he won went. The 2015 Duel Detroit race number 1 was the first IndyCar race since the Indy 500, won by fellow Colombian Juan Pablo Montoya. For Carlos, things weren't looking promising at first. Munoz would start the race second to last, but thanks to some pretty good luck strategy-wise in the rain-affected race, Munoz will inherit the lead as the thunderstorms rolled in. A short while later, the race was red-flagged and then declared official. Carlos Munoz, a driver considered to be one of the unluckiest IndyCar drivers of the last 10 years, would ironically win thanks to a good amount of luck. Unfortunately for him, bad fortune would prevent him from scoring any more wins in his time in IndyCar, but at least he has that one win, marking Carlos in the history books as an IndyCar one-hit wonder. Next up is Alex Tagliani, a driver whose entry in this list may surprise people. He was a driver that was fast but wickedly inconsistent, and it was that, along with the fall of kart, that prevented him from finding even more success in the wide world of IndyCar. Tag's one win would come in the 2004 Champ Car race at Road America, and what a race it was. Tagliani started the race down in 13th, over 2 seconds off of pole sitter Sebastian Bourdais. As for the race itself, it was fairly chaotic, with 5 cautions on the day. Tagliani only led 16 laps, tied for the most that day with Paul Tracy. Towards the end, it became a battle of nerves between Rodolfo Levin and Tagliani, both battling for their first career wins. Only 1.8 seconds separated them by the finish, with Tagliani grabbing the victory. It would be both of the drivers' best races in their respective IndyCar careers. Honestly, the fact Tagliani is just a one-time winner was surprising to me when I first learned it, because had a few more things gone his way, he would have at least won a few more races. It's still a win though, and it's nothing to scoff at. For the 4th entry in this video, we talk about Charlie Kimble. Kimble was certainly a driver that raced in IndyCar at some point in time. In all honesty, Kimble was mediocre to okay as a driver in IndyCar, never finishing better than 9th in the points and only having 6 career podiums. But although his career was usually mundane, he had one very big bright spot. Kimble's one win came at the 2013 Honda Indy 200 at Mid-Ohio, the 14th of 19 races that season. Kimble was a force to be reckoned with all day, running up towards the front throughout most of the race. Kimble led over half the laps that day, and scored a pretty dominant win. More remember that Kimble's triumph though is Chip Ganassi falling off the pit wall in celebration, a somewhat funny moment to come from Kimble's best IndyCar race, the race where he became a one-hit wonder. And finally, we have the first and maybe only ever entry in the series to come from the American IndyCar series. Rod Bennett was a one-hit wonder in that series, and also a one-time champion. He won unspecified event in the American IndyCar series in 1992, and eventually won the championship that season. Bennett went on to race in IMSA and lower-level NASCAR competitions sporadically over the next 10 years, with little success. But regardless, he does make his appearance on this list as an IndyCar one-hit wonder, albeit one that likely many of you haven't heard of before. So there it is, 5 more IndyCar one-hit wonders. Thanks to everyone who left comments on the first installment. A part 3 will likely be out by the end of the month. If you have any more suggestions of drivers you'd like me to cover in the future, or you'd like to leave your thoughts on any of the drivers I mentioned, feel free to leave a comment in the comments section. Thank you all for watching, and have a great afternoon.